Let's move on to your big board. You know, we love this early stages of the draft. Analysts making sure that we dive in as football season goes on, the college football season that is. When you look at your big board that came out, you so far at 15 is your first quarterback. Kenny Pickett is the first time. How weak is the quarterback class this year? Because earlier in the year, before the season started, we had guys like Kadon Slovis up there, J.T. Daniels up there, the kid from Liberty. We look at Spindler Rattler, Howell down in North Carolina. Now, we don't see any of those guys being talked about.
Yeah, it's changed a little bit. Obviously, Spencer Rattler probably transferring, moving on. For next year, we'll see where he ends up. And then you think about Sam Howell. He took away his 2 top running backs, his 2 top receivers. It's been a little more difficult. But Malik Willis from Liberty is still in that mix, as is Matt Corral from Ole Miss, Desmond Ridder, Cincinnati, and Kenny Pickett from Pitt. So Pickett has emerged. He had the ankle injury last year against BC, Game 5. He didn't have the ability to make the throws. He didn't have the ability to use his legs. Now he's complete. He's out there making big-time plays, 23 touchdowns, 1 pick, and nearly 70% completion percentage. I think Desmond Ridder, the inconsistent accuracy, we want to see that improve as the season rolls into the latter stages. And certainly for Matt Corral, he's about 200 pounds, but he can sling it and he can run and he's super tough. And then we have Malik Willis, who threw 3 interceptions against Louisiana Monroe in a loss as a 33-point favorite and 3 interceptions against Middle Tennessee State. The board's stock up, stock down, guys. And for stock down right now, Malik Willis. Now, can he rebound? Sure. November 6th, mark it down, at Vaught Hemingway Stadium, Liberty at Ole Miss, to see Willis and Corral on the field at the same time is going to, I think, have a lot to do with whether those 2 end up being rated. So there's 4 quarterbacks vying for the top spot right now, way too close to call.
Keyshawn, JWill Max, ESPN Radio. You know the voice. That's Mel Kiper. Go ahead, Key.
Mel, who's holding steady at their position from the start of the season? Is it Kayvon Thibodeau? Is it somebody else?
Yeah, it's Thibodeau, Key, and I think to see his progression coming back from the injury, he was obviously, you think about the targeting and then the Stanford game, you think about the second half against Cal, was all we played in that game. If he doesn't come back, remember, he has to sit out the first half because of the targeting. Second half, he keyed that victory against Cal. Dominating play in the second half. They couldn't block him. Then to watch him against UCLA and to see the kind of attitude and approach he has, knowing he's probably going to be the number 1 pick in the draft going in, but to play like he has, pretty impressive. And then your guy, Drake London from USC, you talk about a guy who skyrocketed. He was in the mix. We were just waiting for him, and with Slovis, he's the key guy there. And with that size, that basketball background, and that talent, and the comparisons to Mike Evans, Drake London, you'd be hard-pressed to find an offensive player in the country this year more impressive than Drake London.
Mel, every year we could hear about these quarterbacks are good, not so good. It's a strong class. It's not a strong class. And it seems to me that quarterback-needy teams talk themselves into taking quarterbacks up high, and the first 5 picks, 3 of them are quarterbacks, right? Which team do you think that might be this year that talks themselves into taking a quarterback before they should?
A lot of them, Max. You can think about Houston, Detroit, Philadelphia. This goes on and on. You talk about Atlanta is going to need a quarterback at some point, as the heir apparent thought they would last year. They didn't. They could still end up being a borderline playoff team. We'll see how that goes. But there's going to be a lot of teams up there that are going to be vying for those 4 quarterbacks. And they're all worthy. Are they in the class of last year's quarterbacks? No, they're not. But as I say, Kenny Pickett wasn't healthy last year. COVID year, ankle injury. Now he is, and we're seeing Kenny Pickett really skyrocket up the board. Matt Corral spinning it, making plays with his legs, doing everything he needs to do for Lane Kiffin. And you think about where Desmond Ridder, he has all the talent in the world. He's got the size, the arm, the mobility, the competitiveness, all that. He just has to be more consistent with his ball placement, his overall accuracy. And then Malik Willis, he's rebounded last week against North Texas. Now he's got a schedule moving forward with Ole Miss. And that's still he plays there. He's got talent. He had a great year last year. He had those 2 kind of hiccups against Middle Tennessee State and then Louisiana Monroe. We'll see how he finishes. They're going to be at the Senior Bowl, some of these guys as well. Willis, Pickett, and Howell will be down there, Ridder, and that week in Mobile will be important. But I think there's those 4 quarterbacks, guys, and as you said, Max, they're all going to get pushed way up. They may not be rated that high, but when we get to late April, those 4 quarterbacks are going to go probably somewhere in the top 15, all 4 of them.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.